All right, we are here again with the Faith and Life podcast. This is Mike Weaver, pastor at St. Luke Lutheran Church in Gahanna, Ohio, and with me as always,
Greg Osborne. I'm the youth pastor at St. Luke here in Gahanna, Ohio.
it's like the Batman and Robin.
Yes, I'm okay being Robin, so I like Robin.
No, I
So
was going to say you're Batman. I'm not.
I mean, theoretically, in the hierarchy of our roles, you would technically be the Batman. I would be the
That's true.
Robin.
That's a
Um,
good point.
I'm just saying. However, like I'm perfectly fine being both of those characters. So you can pick whatever one you want to be.
Okay, in all this universe of superheroes like that, and are there other pairings like that, Batman and Robin, and
Oh,
uh,
oh
you know
yeah,
more than I do.
yeah.
So, like what?
Oh, you could have Batman and Robin, you could have Green Arrow and Speedy, you could have Aquaman and Aqualad, you could have Wonder Woman and any of her Wonder Girls or any of those. There's even Batwoman and Batgirl from the early ones.
Yeah.
We could go. There's you if you wanted a little bit more like evil like level like you do like a Captain and Falcon, Captain America and Falcon, you
There
could
you
go a
go.
little more even if you didn't want like the more father figure role. So we'll
Yeah,
go
there you
Captain
go.
America Winter Soldier or Captain America Falcon. So yeah, it'll work.
It's amazing.
And now we've
That's
just completely nerded half our audience.
But wait, what is this Aquaman Aqua Lab?
lad lad
Aqua Lad.
It was written. DC Comics started back in the like 50s. So like they're like, let's call him Aqualad.
Aqua Lad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've
I'm
always
not
liked
saying
that,
some of these stick still this in this day and age, but
you know.
yeah.
There you go. Well, it's good to be here. And here's the question for us to just kick us off. It is, Greg, if you were taking somebody if somebody was visiting you from
Mm,
out of town, they came to Columbus, Central Ohio,
yeah.
where would you want to take them? That you would say if they left, they'd be missing something if they didn't go to this place. Now, as you're thinking about that question, I can say that to anybody, wherever you are, think
Yeah.
about your own city. Think about where you live. Where would you want to take somebody that they'd be missing out if they didn't experience this?
Yeah. It's one of those, it's a loaded question, right? Because it's like, is it kids with families? Is who's coming
Right?
in? And so like for me, like what is quintessential? Like you've got to it's honestly, if I would say like if someone was visiting that has never been to Columbus before, I would say I'd take them to some type of Ohio State sporting event. To like whether it's football, basketball, whatever. I mean, that is like that's quintessential. Like Columbus is associated with Ohio State. Um, that but it depends on the season too. Because like if it's summer, I'm saying go to the Clippers game, right? Like there's like I would probably take them to some sporting event because I think in the city where we don't have too many like of like the like NBA or NFL or MLB teams, like we really thrive with what we have, whether it's the NHL or MLS, and so and then the minor league stuff and college stuff. So it's like I think like a sporting event in Columbus, Ohio. There, I'm gonna broaden it to then just a sporting event in Columbus, Ohio. I feel like it's a really good, um, a vibe, and you get a sense of the city, where it's around, whether you're doing something in the short north, or arena district. So yeah, I'm gonna say that, and then we're gonna just bop around downtown.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's really good. I would say I would lean more toward food.
Hmm.
So, like we were just in last month, my wife and I were in New England. We had to have a lobster roll. Like if you're going to
Yeah.
New England, you have to have a lobster roll or
Okay.
something
Yeah, yeah, I see where you're
if
going.
if people like lobster, right? I mean, you don't have
Yeah.
to,
I mean, no,
but
no,
it
if you
is,
go to New England, you have to. No, it's a rule. Like you have to. Like whether you like it or not, like you have to.
yeah, and you have
You
to
go
say
to Boston, you
lobster.
have to have clam chowder. That's what I'm told.
Can I get some chowder and some lobster? Come on. Uh, yeah, and so it's such a strong part of the culture. It's so identified with that. Like what identifies Columbus? as far as food wise, I mean, food has been a big part of Columbus, Central Ohio culture for a long time.
Long
A
time.
lot of restaurants start here. Wendy's started here. I wouldn't take somebody to Wendy's because it's so,
Buffalo Wild Wings.
they started here.
Hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah.
So,
It used to be Buffalo Wings and Rex, Weck.
Weck, yeah.
Yeah. Then there was a
Wow.
sports bar in Columbus. It was really the culmination of a sports bar. No,
Wow.
so, yeah.
This is what we did with our German friends and they visited last fall. When did they come? Last fall. We took them to North Market. I think North Market
Okay.
is a gem.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And it's right in the middle, right on the edge of downtown. So you can get lunch at North Market, but you could also just walk up the street a little bit to Short North or park nearby. I mean,
Yeah.
so there's a lot there. And then just the smells and the food and the tastes of North Market, I think I love it. And then specifically at North Market, you can get Buckeye Donuts. There's a
Hmm.
little stand from Buckeye
You can get
Donuts,
some
which is
Buckeyes.
you can get some Buckeyes. So there's a lot of Columbus. It's not just Columbus-based stuff at North Market, but it is certainly a gem for the city. So that's my
So
thought.
there you go. You come visit me and Mike. We'll take you to the North Market, and then we're gonna go catch a sporting event, and
That's exactly
it'll be a good trip.
right. Yeah. And if it's during the hockey season, you can go North Market and walk down the street to the Blue Jackets
See, this is
or the Clippers during the
we're
summertime.
just your travel advisors here now. It's
You're
where
welcome, everyone. You're welcome.
the Mike and Greg Travel Agency.
Today we're in a similar way. We're going to talk about influence a bit, like influence in a way of like living as kind of a mentor. I mean, and
Mm,
recognizing people, uh, we're a role model to somebody,
yeah,
whether we know it or not. I mean, somebody's watching how we are and how we live, and um, not to be heavy-handed with it, but we are. We have to
yeah.
recognize that. So I was reading First Timothy today, preparing for some summer themes for our church, and in July we're going to be looking at First and Second Timothy, July and first part of August.
Okay.
But there's a verse in First Timothy chapter 1, verse 2, where Paul writes to Timothy, my true son in the faith.
Mm,
And that's a strong way to start a letter, which just that phrase to Timothy, my true son in the faith, tells us a lot about their relationship,
yeah,
and that Timothy and Paul have a long history. Um, but very practically for our conversation, Paul is a mentor to Timothy. Timothy's a young church leader, been charged with leading the church in Ephesus, and has learned, or continues to learn a lot from Paul and about leading a church, about theology, about just the practices of being a leader, and so on and so forth. So Paul, these two letters, Timothy, First Timothy and Second Timothy, are two letters that we have that Paul wrote to Timothy about
mm,
how to lead a church well. And it wasn't just about, practice and practices. It was about Timothy's character, about who he is, and there's some really practical things for Timothy in particular. But the question that emerged from that was who in your life may be a Timothy for whom God would have you be a Paul. So
yeah,
just taking Timothy and Paul as an example. And I guess the second question, the sub question would be, who has been a Paul
yeah,
in our lives when we have been a Timothy
yeah,
that has helped us grow and learn and mature as leaders in a church or leaders in life or just life in general.
yeah.
So that's the background that called two different questions. Yeah, what do you think, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, in the entire time I was reading this, I was like, so Timothy is Aqualad in this scenario.
Yes, I'll call it. Yes,
And
yes.
nobody in history has ever compared Timothy to Aqualad, but we've
No.
done that now here. You can clip that. Yeah, but I think it is an important question to ask, right? Like, because I think it's something that we think about, or we should think about. Let me say that. I think we should think about. Um, I think. it's a little different sometimes for you and I in our roles that we're in. We're kind of forced into thinking about this a lot more often of like, who are we training up? Who are we, pouring into? Who are our couple Timothys, if you will, that we're investing in and saying like, hey, we're helping you grow to then hopefully move on to the future. But I think in life in general, um, it's so crucial for us to have people that in our life that are going to be a Paul. In the Christian faith, but in life in general, that like we can lean and glean knowledge off of. And I think what I've noticed as I like was thinking about this question is you don't have to have just one Paul in this scenario. Like, and I think there's like you're gonna have multiple ones probably, and all in different phases of life. Because there have been a lot of people who have been very formative in who I am and what I'm doing in my ministry that I would say I was 100% their Timothy and they were my Paul. Like they invested into me, they showed me the ropes. And I think it's through you're gonna have the seasons of that of what's it's like, but I think it's important to say like identify who it is in your life right now because if it isn't, maybe you need to move into a season where you can allow yourself to have a Paul and a Timothy dynamic in some capacity.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And I think at this point in my career as a pastor, been a pastor a long time now. I'm in my mid 50s. I'm not that I'm closer to retirement than I ever have been. And that whole idea of mentoring or bringing up the younger generation as far as leaders in the church
Hmm.
has become more important to me than it ever has been. And it's not that I'm seeking this out or it's just been on my mind lately. Like there's a point where if it was 10, 15 years ago, I would not have been thinking about this like very much because I was more looking for a Paul then,
Yeah.
especially early on. I mean, who could help me lead well?
Yeah.
And I still need Pauls to help me lead well. I still have those folks, right? I mean, still, but I definitely recognize that, you know, there are people that I get to coach as a pastor. I mean, a pastoral coach in our synod. We had Matthew Longfellow with us for the last 8 weeks,
Hmm.
leadership and context student from the seminary. And that was just kind of appeared for us. It was
Yeah.
serendipitous in that way. We weren't searching that out. But while I wasn't his supervisor, I wasn't an internship supervisor for him. We did meet on a regular basis, and there was that bit of like him learning how it is to be a pastor. So
Right.
while I wouldn't call him my true son in the faith, like Paul said to Timothy, certainly those continued conversations is helping shape him as he moves into leadership in the church. And
Yeah.
I'm grateful to be part of that process, at least for like 2 months,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think like, in this context, like, you could read the relationship between Paul and Timothy and be like, it probably is not probably it's a more intimate relationship than we're probably like leading on with some of these relationships in our lives and we're talking about these Pauls and Timothys. But I mean, for the most part though, like, when I was in college, I had a Paul in my life, I was an internet and he was a youth pastor at this church and it was a mega church. He was the high school youth pastor full time, not middle school and high school. It was just the high school. Like, so it was a huge church. And like, I mean, we did everything together of learning and gleaning knowledge, but then there were friendship times too. Like, we went to Monday night football games together. I babysat his kids or something. So him and his wife go on. Like, there was a friendship on top of just the mentoring too, I think, which is an important piece. Like, and, you know, as then I move into another phase, like that relationship isn't as strong as that was, and it's not a bad thing. It just is in that time, it was what was molding me to be who I am, and I'm grateful for those moments and those things. And now, like, as then you move into, working at a job at like St. Luke and having like, you know, people like Steve and yourself who have then started to craft that. What I'm curious of like is, um, do you think we ever get to the phase where we're like, I'm good. of I don't need a Paul. And like, do you think we get to that phase, or do people, or like, or should like we never, or should we be scared to ever get to that phase?
I think if we get to that phase, we should watch out.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a good place for us to be
yeah,
because for for somebody to say that,
yeah.
it's either that one, they're just going to cruise to the end and just be in cruise mode, or number two, they've got it all figured out, which they think they've got it all figured out.
And
They probably don't have it all
if
figured
you
out.
ever meet someone who thinks they have it all figured out, stay away from them because they
Exactly.
don't.
Uh, so I think, and both, well, the latter is a lack of humility,
Yeah,
and the former is a lack of purpose.
yeah,
And because I believe to the end of our days, the Lord has a purpose for us, and we all need to learn and grow. I mean, that's how I want to be to the very end. Like, I just want to learn and grow and be of service to my very dying breath, right?
right.
um, and recognize I have so much to learn. There's the world changes so rapidly.
Yeah,
Um, and I can't, if I put myself on cruise mode, all of a sudden I'm way behind, you know, quickly. And so that's where I'd say I don't think I think we can get there. I would not want to be there.
right. Well, and I kind of had a feeling I knew exactly where you would go with this, and so I let it. But I think it's like when we get to I think when we're looking at it from faith standpoint, it sometimes it can creep into it's easier for us to not to let that creep in, like, oh, like there's so much about the Bible I need to know. I think it creeps in a little bit more sometimes in our life of like, of just like everyday life of, like I've got whatever it is. And I think that's where it's like an important reminder of like we need people in all aspects of our life, whether it's growing in our faith, whether it's growing in our parenting, right? Like,
Yep.
and I would encourage like, you know, to never be like okay with like, you know what, I'm good. I've got it figured out. Because I think when we get into that mindset, like you said, it's a slippery slope, and then it's scary because you feel like you're just plateauing.
Yeah, totally. And we have, there'd be so much wisdom that we left untapped if we do that. Like all of us have something to offer to somebody, in whatever field of work or occupation, calling, or just life in general. And to leave that, I think it's a poor stewardship of all that God has already given us. We're meant to give it away, and we're
Yeah.
not meant to. And in some ways, I just thought like Jesus talked about how he gave a parable one time of the rich man who put all his riches in this storehouse, and then he died. It's like, okay, so you have all this storehouse of riches, but you just died, and nobody now can access this stuff. And in a similar way, like there's the riches of knowledge and experience and wisdom that we can put in a storehouse because we
Mhm.
just want to cruise control for the rest of our lives. Like, no, what if we're meant to like share it?
Right.
So let's find ways to share that with younger generations or people around us so they can grow and live, and then they can do the same thing for others and they pass that on. So I mean, that's the way God's wired us and designed us.
Well, and I think even in those relationships, like, it's how much do you still get from, does a Timothy still teach though to a Paul, right? In those relationships and those experiences. Um, Oftentimes, you'll be in a mentoring mentor situation, and I've been in it where I'm like, I've been talking with a kid and I'm like a student, I'm like, man, you got this figured out more than I do. Like
Yeah.
like kudos to you. And it's like those what is it, those the bumper stickers you see on the car, who adopted who, when it's like a pet, like it's
Right.
who's mentoring who.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. Yeah. Well, before we finish up today, I just want to shout out to my first mentor, really. I mean, not my first, second. Um, Dennis was my first, but second was my internship supervisor, Paul Harris. He was my Paul. And
yeah.
Paul was incredibly wise and just sharp as a tack as far as ministry goes and leadership. Now, I think back, I'm probably his age when I was, and I'm now the same age Paul was when I first met him. And Paul, kind of like the way you described your mentor, he he taught me a lot as far as the internship goes and just day-to-day stuff. But then I went to his house a few times for dinner, helped he and his wife make dinner one time for a dinner party they were throwing. I remember him saying, he goes, I said, how do you want me to help? He's like, you're gonna grate ginger. I'd never done that in my entire life. We did the raw thing of ginger. I had to grate that ginger down to my fingers. So, but I mean, we went for walks around Como Lake
Mhm.
and just talked about life and just so important. So I just big shout out to he's now passed, unfortunately. But Paul Harris that's the guy for me. He was really, really great. That God put in my life just at the right time
Yeah.
and helped me be a leader in the church. So good
Well,
stuff.
my actual before the one I mentioned in college was mine was Pastor Warren Record of when I was
Oh
in
yeah.
middle school. He brought me into the church, having me do children's sermons and helping me like then coach people on how to do children's sermons because they weren't wanting to do it all. And I mean, it planted the seed that then many, many other people watered. But here I am now, still doing children's sermons.
Right. So we never know. I mean,
Yeah,
the seeds we plant, and that you don't have to be a leader in the church to do that. We just live our lives, and we
yeah,
plant seeds in people's lives that grow into something that God uses for them. All right. Well, thanks for the conversation, Greg, as always.
yeah. Sounds good.
We'll check again next week. See you.